Let's do the blessings before the Torah. Baruchu et Adonai Amvarak, Baruch Adonai Amavarak Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Melech Haolam Asher Bakar Banu Mikol, Amin Vinatan Lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Blessings before the Torah. Bless Adonai, who is to be blessed. Blessed is Adonai, who is to be blessed forever and ever. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who chose us from all the peoples and gave to us his Torah. Blessed are you, Lord, giver of Torah. Adonai spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, This is the ritual law that Adonai has commanded. Instruct the Israelite people to bring you a red cow without blemish, in which there is no defect and on which no yoke has been laid. You shall give it to Eleazar the priest. It shall be taken outside the camp and slaughtered in his presence. Eleazar the priest shall take some of its blood with its finger and sprinkle it 7 times toward the front of the tent of meeting. The cow shall be burned in his sight, its hide, flesh, and blood shall be burned, its dung included. And the priest shall take cedar wood, hyssop, and crimson stuff, and throw them into the fire consuming the cow. The priest shall wash his garments and bathe his body in water. After that the priest may re-enter the camp, but he shall be impure until evening. The one who performed the burning shall also wash those garments in water, bathe in water, and be impure until evening. Another party who is pure shall gather up the ashes of the cow and deposit them outside the camp in a pure place to be kept for water of lustration. For the Israelite community, it is for purgation. The one who gathers up the ashes of the cow shall also wash those clothes and be impure until evening. This shall be a permanent law for the Israelites and for the strangers who reside among them. Those who touch a corpse of any human being shall be impure for 7 days. They shall purify themselves with the ashes on the 3rd day and on the 7th day, and then be pure. If they fail to purify themselves on the 3rd and 7th days, they shall not be pure. Those who touch a corpse, the body of a person who has died, and do not purify themselves, defile Adonai's tabernacle. Those persons shall be cut off from Israel. Since the water of lustration was not dashed on them, they remain impure. Their impurity is still upon them. This is a ritual. When a person dies in a tent, whoever enters a tent and whoever is in the tent shall be impure 7 days. And every open vessel with no lid fastened down shall be impure. And in the open, anyone who touches a person who was killed, or who died naturally, or a human bone, or a grave, shall be impure 7 days. Some of the ashes from the fire of purgation shall be taken for the impure person, and fresh water shall be added to them in a vessel. Another party who is pure shall take hyssop, dip it in the water, and sprinkle on the tent and on all the vessels and people who were there, or on the one who touched the bones, or the person who was killed or died naturally, or the grave. The pure person shall sprinkle it upon the impure person on the 3rd day and on the 7th day, thus purifying that person by the 7th day. The one being purified shall then wash those clothes and bathe in water, and at nightfall shall be pure. If any party who has become impure fails to undergo purification, that person shall be cut off from the congregation for having defiled Adonai's sanctuary. The water of lustration was not dashed on that person who is impure. That shall be for them a law for all time. Further, the one who sprinkled the water of lustration shall wash those clothes, and whoever touches the water of lustration shall be impure until evening. Whatever that impure person touches shall be impure, and the person who touches the impure one shall be impure until evening. The Israelites arrived in a body at the wilderness of Zin on the first new moon, and the people stayed at Kadesh. Miriam died there and was buried there. The community was without water, and they joined against Moses and Aaron. The people quarreled with Moses, saying, "If only we had perished when our brothers perished at the instance of Adonai. Why have you brought Adonai's congregation into the wilderness for us and our beasts to die there? Why did you make us leave Egypt to bring us to this wretched place, a place with no grain or figs or vines or pomegranates? There is not even water to drink." Moses and Aaron came away from the congregation to the entrance of the tent of meeting and fell on their faces. The presence of Adonai appeared to them. Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, "You and your brother Aaron take the rod and assemble the community, and before their very eyes order the rock to yield its water. Thus you shall produce water for them from the rock and provide drink for the congregation and their beast." Moses took the rod from before Adonai as he had been commanded. Moses and Aaron assembled the congregation in front of the rock, and he said to them, "Listen, you rebels, shall we get water for you out of this rock?" And Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod. Out came copious water, and the community and their beasts drank. But Adonai said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust me enough to affirm my sanctity in the sight of the Israelite people, therefore you shall not lead this congregation into the land that I have given them." Those are the waters of Meribah, meaning that the Israelites quarreled with Adonai, whose sanctity was affirmed through them. From Kadesh, Moses sent messengers to the king of Edom. "Thus says your brother Israel, you know all the hardships that have befallen us, that our ancestors went down to Egypt, that we dwelt in Egypt a long time, and that the Egyptians dealt harshly with us and our ancestors. We cried to Adonai, who heard our plea, sending a message, who freed us from Egypt. Now we are in Kadesh, the town on the border of your territory. Allow us then to cross your country. We will not pass through fields or vineyards, and we will not drink water from wells. We will follow the king's highway, turning off neither to the right nor to the left until we have crossed your territory." But Edom answered him, "You shall not pass through us, else we will go out against you with the sword." "We will keep on the beaten track," the Israelites said to them, "and if we or our cattle drink your water, we will pay for it. We ask only for passage on foot. It is but a small matter." But they replied, "You shall not pass through." And Edom went out against them in heavy force, strongly armed. So Edom would not let Israel cross their territory, and Israel turned away from them. Setting out from Kadesh, the Israelites arrived in a body at Mount Hor. At Mount Hor, on the boundary of the land of Edom, Adonai said to Moses and Aaron, "Let Aaron be gathered to his kin. He is not to enter the land that I have assigned to the Israelite people, because you disobeyed my command about the waters of Meribah. Take Aaron and his son Eleazar and bring them up on Mount Hor. Strip Aaron of his vestments and put them on his son Eleazar. There Aaron shall be gathered unto the dead." Moses did as Adonai commanded. They ascended Mount Hor in the sight of the whole community. Moses stripped Aaron of his vestments and put them on his son Eleazar, and Aaron died there, on the summit of the mountain. When Moses and Eleazar came down from the mountain, the whole community knew that Aaron had breathed his last. All the house of Israel bewailed Aaron 30 days. When the Canaanite king of Arad, who dwelt in the Negev, learned that Israel was coming by the way of Atharim, he engaged Israel in battle and took some of them captive. Then Israel made a vow to Adonai and said, "If you deliver this people into our hands, we will proscribe their towns." Adonai heeded Israel's plea and delivered up the Canaanites, and they and their cities were proscribed. So that place was named Hormah. They set out from Mount Hor by the way of the Sea of Reeds to skirt the land of Edom. But the people grew restive on the journey. And the people spoke against God and against Moses. "Why did you make us leave Egypt to die in the wilderness? There is no bread and no water, and we have come to loathe this miserable food." Adonai sent serpents against the people. They bit the people, and many of the Israelites died. The people came to Moses and said, "We sinned by speaking against Adonai and against you. Intercede with Adonai to take away the serpents from us." And Moses interceded for the people. Then Adonai said to Moses, "Make a seraph figure and mount it on a standard, and anyone who was bitten who then looks at it shall recover." Moses made a copper serpent and mounted it on a standard. And when bitten by a serpent, anyone who looked at the copper serpent would recover. The Israelites marched on and encamped at Oboth. They set out from Oboth and encamped at Ayabarim in the wilderness bordering on Moab to the east. From there they set out and encamped at the Wadi Zered. From there they set out and encamped beyond the Arnon, that is, in the wilderness that extends from the territory of the Amorites, for the Arnon is the boundary of Moab, between Moab and the Amorites. Therefore the book of the Wars of Adonai speaks of Waheb in Suphah and the Wadis, the Arnon, with its tributary Wadis, stretched along the settled country of Ar, hugging the territory of Moab. And from there to Beer, which is the well where Adonai said to Moses, "Assemble the people that I may give them water." Then Israel sang this song, "Spring up, O well, sing to it, the well which the chieftains dug, which the nobles of the people started, with maces with their own staffs, and from Midbar to Matana, and from Matana to Nahaliel, and from Nahaliel to Bamoth, and from Bamoth to the valley that is in the country of Moab, at the peak of Pisgah, overlooking the wasteland." Israel now sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites, saying, "Let me pass through your country. We will not turn off into fields or vineyards, and we will not drink water from wells. We will follow the king's highway until we have crossed your territory." But Sihon would not let Israel pass through his territory. Sihon gathered all his troops and went out against Israel in the wilderness. He came to Jahaz and engaged Israel in battle. But Israel put them to the sword and took possession of their land, from the Arnon to the Jabbok, as far as Az of the Ammonites, for Az marked the boundary of the Ammonites. Israel took all those towns, and Israel settled in all the towns of the Amorites, in Eshbon and all its dependencies. Now Eshbon was a city of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who had fought against a former king of Moab and taken all his land from him as far as the Arnon. Therefore the bards would recite, "Come to Heshbon, firmly built and well founded in Zion's city." For fire went forth from Heshbon, flame from Zion's city, consuming Ar of Moab, the lords of Bamoth, by the Arnon. Woe to you, O Moab, you are undone. O people of Chemosh, his sons are rendered fugitive, and his daughters captive, by an Amorite king Sihon. Yet we have cast them down utterly, Heshbon along with Dibon. We have wrought desolation at Nophah, which is hard by Medeba. So Israel occupied the land of the Amorites. Then Moses sent to spy out Jazer, and they captured its dependencies and dispossessed the Amorites who were there. They marched on and went up the road to Bashan, and King Og of Bashan, with all his troops, came out to Edrei to engage them in battle. But Adonai said to Moses, "Do not fear him, for I give him and all his troops and his land into your hand. You shall do to him as you did to Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon." They defeated him and his sons and all his troops until no remnant was left him, and they took possession of his country. Blessings after the Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu et Torato, Torat emet, v'chayai olam nata bitochenu, Baruch atah Adonai noten ha-Torah. Blessings after the Torah. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who gave us the Torah of truth and set everlasting life in our midst. Blessed are you, Lord, giver of the Torah. Blessings before the Haftorah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bakar binviim tovim v'ratza v'devarim aneemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai aboker batorah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Israel amo uninvei haemet va'zedek. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who has chosen good prophets and was pleased with their words that were uttered with truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, who chooses the Torah and Moses, God's servant, and Israel, God's people, and the prophets of truth and righteousness. Jephthah the Gileadite was an able warrior who was the son of a certain prostitute. Jephthah's father was Gilead. But Gilead also had sons by his wife, and when the wife's sons grew up, they drove Jephthah out. They said to him, "You shall have no share in our father's property, for you are the son of an outsider." So Jephthah fled from his brothers and settled in Tob country. Men of low character gathered about Jephthah and went out raiding with him. Some time later, the Ammonites went to war against Israel. And when the Ammonites attacked Israel, the elders of Gilead went to bring Jephthah back from the Tob country. They said to Jephthah, "Come, be our chief so that we can fight the Ammonites." Jephthah replied to the elders of Gilead, "You are the very people who rejected me and drove me out of my father's house. How can you come to me now when you are in trouble?" The elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, "Honestly, we have now turned back to you. If you come with us and fight the Ammonites, you shall be our commander over all the inhabitants of Gilead." Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, "Very well. If you bring me back to fight the Ammonites and God delivers them to me, I am to be your commander." And the elders of Gilead answered Jephthah, "God shall be witness between us. We will do just as you have said." Jephthah went with the elders of Gilead, and the people made him their commander and chief. And Jephthah repeated all these terms before God at Mizpah. Jephthah then sent messengers to the king of the Ammonites, saying, "What have you against me that you have come to make war on my country?" The king of the Ammonites replied to Jephthah's messengers, "When Israel came from Egypt, they seized the land that is mine, from the Arnon to the Jabbok as far as the Jordan. Now then restore it peaceably." Jephthah again sent messengers to the king of the Ammonites. He said to him, "Thus said Jephthah, Israel did not seize the land of Moab or the land of the Ammonites. When they left Egypt, Israel traveled through the wilderness to the Sea of Reeds and went on to Kadesh. Israel then sent messengers to the king of Edom, saying, "Allow us to cross your country." But the king of Edom would not consent. They also sent a mission to the king of Moab, and he refused. So Israel, after staying at Kadesh, traveled on through the wilderness, skirting the land of Edom and the land of Moab. They kept to the east of the land of Moab until they encamped on the other side of Arnon. And since Moab ends at the Arnon, they never entered Moabite territory. Then Israel sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites, the king of Heshbon. Israel said to him, "Allow us to cross through your country to our homeland." But Sihon would not trust Israel to pass through his territory. Sihon mustered all his troops, and they encamped at Jahaz. He engaged Israel in battle. But the Eternal, the God of Israel, delivered Sihon and all his troops into Israel's hands, and they defeated them, and Israel took possession of all the land of the Amorites, the inhabitants of that land. Thus they possessed all the territory of the Amorites from the Arnon to the Jabbok, and from the wilderness to the Jordan. Now then, the Eternal, the God of Israel, dispossessed the Amorites before this covenanted people Israel. And should you possess their land? Do you not hold what Chemosh your God gives you to possess? So we will hold on to everything that the Eternal, or God, has given us to possess. Besides, are you any better than Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab? Did he start a quarrel with Israel or go to war with them? While Israel has been inhabiting Heshbon and its dependencies, and Aroer and its dependencies, and all the towns along the Arnon for 300 years, why have you not tried to recover them all this time? I have done you no wrong, yet you are doing me harm and making war on me. May God who judges decide today between the Israelites and the Ammonites. But the king of the Ammonites paid no heed to the message that Jephthah sent him. Then the Spirit of God came upon Jephthah. He marched through Gilead and Manasseh, passing Mizpeh and Gilead, and from Mizpeh of Gilead he crossed over to the Ammonites. And Jephthah made the following vow to God: "If you deliver the Ammonites into my hands, then whatever comes out of the door of my house to meet me on my safe return from the Ammonites shall be God's, and shall be offered by me as a burnt offering." Jephthah crossed over the Ammonites and attacked them, and God delivered them into his hands. He utterly routed them from Aroer as far as Minnith, 20 towns, all the way to Abel Cheramim. So the Ammonites submitted to the Israelites. Blessings after the Haftorah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zer kol haolamim zadik, vekol adoret ahel הנאמן, האומר ועושה, עם דבר חיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. נאמן אתה אדוני אלוהינו, ונאמנים דבריך, ודבר אחד מדבריך אחור לא ישב, רחם כי אל מלך נאמן, ורחמם אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הנאמן בכל דבריו. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, rock of all eternities, righteous in all generations, the faithful God who says and does, who speaks and fulfills, all of whose words are true. Faithful are you, Lord our God, and faithful are your words. Not one of your words turns back unfulfilled, for you, O God, are a faithful and compassionate King. Blessed are you, Lord, the God who is faithful in all his words.